Hey guys, we wanted to shoot a quick video for you guys today and talk a little bit more about the why behind the new ZenPlanner class registration process. Answer some frequently asked questions. We had a lot of good questions come through in email and Facebook, and answer some of those kind of one-off situations. And just give you guys more of an idea of where this decision came about, and how we really feel it's going to benefit the majority of us moving forward and long term, and not just in the long term, but in the short term as well. I know it's a change, and change is never easy, but we really feel like that the small addition of this sort of habit of checking in is going to have a payoff in the short term and the long term for everybody. So just to kind of dive into a little bit of the why itself. Really actually for the last couple of years, we've seen this pattern happen, especially at the start of the school year, where our early morning classes get really packed. We get, last year I remember having a similar conversation with the coaching staff, but the numbers we were talking about was low 30s in some of those classes. The year before it was mid 20s. And we're kind of figuring out, okay, how can we continue to deliver a great class experience when we get these really big rushes? And that can happen in the start of the school year. It can happen in the beginning of the year when we get like a New Year's crowd or something like that. So, in the past, we've really done everything we did to start doing lesson plans, start improving our communication from coach to coach, changing how we programming, maybe taking out certain movements that we can't do quite as much. And we've tried to make a lot of adjustments, reformulating the floor and buying new storage racks and moving it to different spots. We feel like we've really maximized every inch of space that we have without watering down the programming. And it just has come to a point that we're dealing with numbers that are so high, where we've had several classes over 40 for our CrossFit. We've had several classes in Beach Fit that are in that mid 30s, and some Sunday classes that are 50 or more. And what we found is that every week we do programming meetings. We do programming meetings where Zach and Robbie meet for Beach Fit, and Arlen and Austin and I meet for CrossFit. We do that once a week, and we set the next week's program. And what we were finding is that without knowing what that top line number was, it was very, very hard to program confidently for all classes of the day. So we were having to change multiple workouts in a week just because we're thinking of that chance that we might get 40 plus, because that was a realistic scenario. And even the numbers that we have are super high numbers. They're very busy classes, but it allows us to confidently know what we're doing from a programming standpoint, so we can keep that great class experience throughout the day. And how that affects small classes, not just big classes, is that we can do things like D-balls, we can do things like ski ergs, we can do things that we have less equipment of and do it confidently, because we just have to program for 35, knowing that, or 30 for Beach Fit, and knowing that we can accommodate that. Is there anything you want to add to that, Tony?
Yeah, and in the programming have, more couplets, where you're just using two pieces of equipment, and not just have to have, okay guys, it's 5 stations today, so that we have to spread everyone out and look at each day like we're always trying to spread out a group of 35 to 40, rather than knowing like there's going to be a class of 15 and we want them to get the best experience possible. And that also includes the warm-up too. So when we make lesson plans, we don't want that to be just considerate of that biggest class in the morning. We want a great warm-up for the afternoons as well. So we don't want that changing our lesson plan.
Yeah, when we're planning for over 40, we're probably not going to build any time in for some coaching or some teaching. We're gonna feel rushed through that lesson plan, and then that kind of translates through the rest of the day, where we'll try to make adjustments throughout the day, and we will make adjustments from different class sizes. But when we get to those numbers that are so large, it's not just making adjustments. We would actually need 2 different workouts. And when we talk about community and team, 2 different workouts would only segment more. It wouldn't help bring everyone together. It would actually segment more. So an adjustment here and there, or doing heats, or extra staging, we don't mind that. We're cool with that, and we feel like that brings everyone together. But if we have to go to the point of doing 2 workouts, that doesn't really help. And then one thing we didn't mention yet was safety. Safety is a big one, and in those classes where we have 41, 42 people, there's just simply not enough floor space to go around. A lot of people think it's an equipment issue, we're happy to buy more equipment where it can help out. But with each piece of equipment you add, you actually take away from floor space. Even if that thing's not being used that day,
Sure.
it just starts to eat away at the floor space that you have. So floor space really is the premium. Floor space is what creates that safe environment. So it's not just a matter of like putting more coaches there or putting more equipment there, because that can actually be detrimental.
Yeah, and I think somebody asked about like the class caps, and I was like, we're like in a 5 a.m. class when we have 33 to 35, it's craziness, and barbells are dropping. We're just trying to keep it from crazy and exciting to go to unsafe and just irresponsible, right? We want crazy and exciting. We love those big energy classes, but we don't want to go to an unsafe environment. And I want to bring up the point of like, we're looking ahead to the future, and we're trying to evolve as our community evolves, right? Look to the past, see where we've been. At one time, like we had a 5 a.m. class, like that was new, and like having one coach wake up for 5 a.m. was like a big deal. And we we're like, man, that coach is like waking up for 5 a.m. Like, and then we're like, we think we need 2 coaches here. Let's make it work. All right, I think we need a 5:30 a.m. beach fit. Man, now we need a 4:45 a.m. beach fit. Now we have 3 coaches getting up for 4:45 and 5 a.m. every day for you guys. Like, that's how we've evolved to like make sure we're fulfilling the needs of our community.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of subtle benefits that will come in the future from this, like adding class times. I mean, Sunday is the one that sticks out in my mind. I think we'll be due for that pretty soon. We've talked about other class times, and happy to open more class times, which will only give people more options as well. And as we look to the future, we put this off so many years. In some ways, I don't want to say this is a premature decision, but we are doing it mainly to prevent the future issues. But this enables us to do that. So like when I say that, and I brought this up originally, is like a big class 2 years ago was 27. Last year was 35. This year it's 42, 43. We're looking at, okay, next year it's going to be 50 something, right? And now that's on the extreme unsafe side. But what we can do by having this registration process in place now is that we can do things like limit new members to certain class times. We can have a conversation with a new member that, yes, you have an unlimited membership, but the 5 and 6 a.m. classes or 5:30 beach fit or 5:45 beach fit are reserved for our veteran members, and once spots open, you can have access to those classes. Or same thing with free trials, same thing with a drop-in from out of town. We can limit them to certain class times of the day with this process, which was not possible before.
Yeah, without a system, we can't tell a drop-in they can't check into that class. And as we're coming into season now, we don't really get a whole lot of drop-ins over the summer, but when we come into fall and definitely spring, we get a lot of drop-ins. So we really want to be able to have a system in place for them.
Yeah. So all this is really coming about from protecting what we have. It's not to limit, and we're making sacrifices too. I mean, you guys see us in the classes. We take a lot of early morning classes ourselves. Tony, myself, Austin, Danielle, you see them in the classes all the time, and we're happy to not take a class that day to make room for you guys. Like in some cases, it's going to be us missing that class first, and we're happy to make that sacrifice because it is about the team and the bigger picture and the community, and we want what's best for you guys in that sense.
There's times where I haven't taken a 5 or 6 a.m. thinking that it was going to be very popular, but that's just a hunch.
Yeah.
And not going there, but now we can see it ahead.
Right, which is one of the cool things from the member side, and we'll kind of transition to that, which is you guys are now kind of in full control, and you can, in any given time, check where you stand in terms of committed club. You can see who's in a class that you want to take. You can start to learn names better of people in your classes because it's going to be right at your fingertips. So there's some really cool benefits as it relates to the committed club. Your career attendance numbers are in there as well. For those band levels that we do, and then seeing those names in classes and seeing what you're walking into. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't have flexibility in their schedules. I really understand that, and we emphasize with that. It's something where a couple people reached out and were like, I truly may have to cancel my membership because I don't know if I can make this work, and it's tough to hear those things. But with the people that do have flexibility in their schedule, or for a newer athlete, it is really cool to be able to see, class times that don't have as many people in them. And maybe in that given day, especially in a day where we're doing Olympic lifting or some high skill gymnastics, and you want some extra attention, to be able to choose that. I think there's a lot of people that just didn't know. I mean, I've had very many conversations with members where we're in a busy 5 or 6 a.m. morning class, and they're saying, man, the evenings must be crazy. You know, if this is a morning, the evenings must be crazy. And I'm like, honestly, no, they're not that crazy. There's plenty of room in those classes, and if you want a little more attention, then now you're going to be able to really see that pretty easily in any given day for those that do have flexibility in your schedule.
Yeah, and just one more point on the committee club. You know, at the end of each month, people want to make sure they're in. They're going back and saying, hey, didn't you check me in for this time? Like, there won't be any missed anymore. You know, it's 100% on you to reserve and be in, and we won't miss any of those check-ins from now on.
Definitely. So let's talk about some of the frequently asked questions that we got. Some people asked about like doubling up on classes, and you know, you can definitely double up on classes still. You can definitely reserve both classes in advance if you know you're going to double up. The only thing that we ask is like there's some pretty consistent hours that do hit those caps or get close to them, like Saturday mornings being the big one. Actually, Beach Fit tends to be busier than even CrossFit in Saturday mornings. So we would just ask you guys to be just mindful of your other members in that situation. Like if you plan to double up with like CrossFit at 7 and Beach Fit at 8:15, like we ask you to not register for that 8:15 Beach Fit until you finish your CrossFit class, and make sure that someone who's coming for just their one workout of their day, their best hour of their day, gets first dibs at that till at least that 15 minutes before class. But if you know it's a time where like pretty much any, you know, mid-morning or afternoon during the week, if you want to register for both classes and double up, by all means do that in advance. And you know, until you see those numbers start to approach those higher 35 numbers, you know, by all means you can register for both and still do both.
Yeah, and I think kind of a follow-up question we've gotten to the 2-class thing is, you know, hey, you missed the warm-up coming in today. Well, I just did Beach Fit, so I'm warm. And I think like to respect the community and to respect the whole class, you have to be there from minute 0 to minute 45 or minute 60, depending on what class you're in. You know, I don't think, you know, just because you feel warmed up or you feel ready, that's not fair to the whole class, right? And we should expect everyone in our class to be fully present at minute 0 when we're ready to go.
Yeah, that's something that we've been really lenient in the past. We'll still be fairly lenient in the sense of like 5 minutes is very lenient. You know, if it's 5.5 minutes or 6 minutes and you miss the warm up, like we're probably still going to let you in. But we need to set some really firm intentions around the class experience. I think people get really stuck on, if I'm late that day and I can't work out, man, I missed that day. Or if I'm late that day, I can't work out in the class and I have to go ride the bike and do something on my own off to the side if there's room, like I didn't get that class for the day. But think about it this way, like if you guys can be intentional about showing up on time 98% of the time, that means 98% of the time you're going to have a better experience because every other person is on time as well. So you might trade one missed day for 30 other classes that are that exceptional experience, because every time, you know, someone's late and we have to re-explain stuff or it just delays that lesson plan, it's less value we can provide in that hour. And we really want to maximize that best hour of the day. And if everybody is there on time, there early, attentive, listening to coaches, following directions, it gives us the ability to do so much more in those classes. It's we hear that phrase, discipline equals freedom, and when we can be disciplined with how we lay out a class and knowing people are going to be on time, it gives us the freedom to add a lot of value to that experience.
Yeah, another frequently asked question and kind of some confusion came about, when can I sign up for the class, right?
Yeah.
So like we had mentioned, like, guys, if you sign up and then you have to cancel, try to do it an hour before, right? That's the window that we're giving you. And also it's, you know, the window for other people to know that they can get into that class if it's one that's teetering on being full. And I think people got confused to think that they always have to check in an hour before.
Yeah.
We want to make it clear that you guys can check in up to the second that the hour hits, right? So you can be walking in the door on time and check in.
Yeah, and that's how honestly, most people are probably going to do some version of that at first as they're getting the hang of this. Like, for those of you that have always just checked it on the computer, your process is almost the same. If you're going to a class that doesn't really consistently fill up, instead of walking in and checking on the computer, it's going to be walk in, pull out your phone, hit the reserve, and you're good to go. It's the same process and almost an easier process because it's already in your hand. You could do that in the parking lot. You could do that on your way here. Now, I know our early morning classes probably don't have that luxury. They're going to be registering in advance, which is why that hour cushion is there. So if you are on the wait list, you can set your alarm, wake up, check to see if you got in. Nope, I didn't. We're already in that hour window. It's not going to open up. I'm going to go about my day, or I'm going to go back to bed, or whatever you're going to do, because you didn't get that slot in for that particular day. So that's why the hour exists. But yeah, we want to be clear that for most people that aren't at risk of being in a full class, it can be as simple as on the way, or once you make that decision, as long as it's right before the hour starts, you're good to go.
Yeah, and once you guys walk through the doors, there's nothing else you need to do, right? As long as you're showing up for class that you reserved, there's no more check-in process. Everything's handled on our end. Our front desk staff will make sure you guys are checked in from your reservation. So those computers inside the gym for check-ins won't be there, and you won't have to worry about doing any extra steps.
So just to clarify in the caps, the cap for CrossFit classes, all CrossFit classes, is 35. The cap for Beach Fit classes is 30. The Sunday Beach Fit classes have a cap of 40 since they're in the larger South building. And yeah, those are the caps. Some people have asked, like, how often are classes getting capped right now? A lot of people are just trying to get a point of reference. I would say really it just started pretty much in the last month. Sundays died down. Sunday used to be really crazy, and it's in more of the 30s range on average, more so than like the 50s, which we had at first. But I would say on average now in the last month, it's probably once to twice a week a class gets capped. So the typical ones would be either a 5 a.m. CrossFit, a 5:45 a.m. Beach Fit, a Saturday mid-morning like an 8:15 or a 9:15 Beach Fit, and a Sunday Beach Fit. Like, those are the ones that probably are at the most risk right now. A lot of the ones where even people, like a lot of people have said certain class times feel really busy, and some of those have been only 25, 26. So, I mean, we're working hard to make those classes not feel as busy and run smoother. We hear you guys in that element. We want to make every class run smoother. But a lot of classes are not even close to hitting these numbers.
Should we mention the penalty, I guess?
Yeah, let's talk about the fees. We went back and forth on different fees that we wanted to do, and ultimately it comes down to fairness. We want it to be fair enough to the people who are respectful of the system, and we looked at places like Orange Theory and what they do. And I know Orange Theory has 12-hour cancellation policy. They have, if you cancel 11 and a half hours in, you get charged, and that spot still goes to someone else. If you reserve a class and don't show, you get charged. There's so many fees built in, and basically it came down to us. It's like, what's the bare minimum that we can do to just be the most fair to everyone? And when we say fairness, we're saying, okay, if I'm someone who's reserving every day for a 5 a.m. class, and I start to do that a little bit haphazardly, where I'm just reserving for everything and I'm not really doing it like cognizant of my schedule, well, there's going to be people waitlisted at times, and we just don't feel like it's fair to the waitlisted person who's not going to be able to do that class for that day because they never made it in if someone registers for a class and doesn't show. So you have it up until an hour before, and if you don't cancel that class with up until that hour before and that class eventually fills up, that's the only situation you get charged. So the only time you could possibly face a cancellation fee is if you don't cancel an hour before and that class also hits the capacity, which means that someone else got prevented from getting your spot. And that's why it's there, is because it's protecting that person that's sitting on deck waiting to get in.
Yeah, I think people are worried about the fee, but they're more likely to be the person sitting on deck than they are the person paying the fee, right? And I think they should look at it from that point of view, that, hey, I got left out. There needs to be some kind of recourse for that person. And it's not for us to collect fees. We just wanted something there to make people mindful of, like you said, the process and checking in. And when it comes to fees, we're really looking to like donate the fees. Like we want to have like charities we donate throughout the year to different charities. We're just going to take the $10 fee and give it to these charities that we're already giving to throughout the year.
Yeah, if you guys have ideas or organizations that you work with that you want us to donate to, we're happy to donate those fees over. We already work with some people like Live Like Jake, and we worked with the Crossing group this year for a couple events, so we're thinking we'll kind of send it over there. But if you guys have other ideas or other organizations, reach out to us, and we're happy to send those fees that way, because we really don't want it to be about the fee. We want it to just be about that person that's on deck that might miss their class. What else you got? I know there's some other stuff
Just features within the app that people can benefit from. So when you guys check in, you can see your reservations for the week that you do by going to the reservations tab. Just see laid out where you plan on going for the week. 7 days out you can check in, so it's Thursday today, you could check in for next Thursday's classes. You guys can see if you're in a family, if you have husband, wife, kids that come to CrossFit or Beach Fit, if you guys are in a household together, you can check each other in. So that could help keep a spouse accountable and maybe get them going when they don't really want to go to the gym, but you can tell them, hey, you're going, I checked you in.
Yeah, we kind of going a little bit back to the fees, is we plan to be super lenient with all this stuff, especially at first. All next week there will be plenty of cushion for everybody. We won't charge anybody anything next week. And then after that, it will be a defined one time for the cancellation period. And then again, on top of that, if it's something emergency related, we have doctors that are on call at the gym. We have plenty of parents that have kids. We can definitely relate to that and the emergencies that come up with kids. Like, we are going to be super, I don't even like the word lenient, but just empathetic of what you guys are going through. Again, it's not about the fees. It's just about protecting what we already have and continuing to make this as great of a place as we can and continue to make it the best hour of your day. So if there's ever any issues, or like a common situation that would come up is like you're trying to cancel but it's within the hour, just shoot us a text, shoot us an email. Most of that stuff just goes straight to the front desk staff, so info@crossfitpalmbeach.com, or our number is 561-676-3710. So it's easiest just to send stuff straight over to them, and we're going to be very very empathetic to you guys, and anything that really has that legitimate issue or legitimate emergency, we'll work with you guys.
Yeah, thank you guys for adopting this. Try to find ways to make it easy for you. Find a time each day or each week that you can pick your classes out and come to them.
Yep. Thanks, guys.